Hi, this is Dr. Jeff Essen. You're watching this video because we've sent you a report from the Asyra test, and we just want to make sure that you understand the results better and how to interpret those results. So I'm going to show you just some basic stuff here on how this test works. As I was doing the test, this is the screen that I saw, and you may have seen it too while we were going through your session. And I just wanted to explain this in a little bit further, make sure you've got this concept so that you can take a look through this report and get a better idea of what's happening here. So this page of the report, when I'm looking at it on the test, tells me where things are in terms of how serious they are and how they're affecting you. So the first column to look at here is the scale column. That scale column is on a scale from 0 to 100, where 50 is a normal score. Now that 50 represents a healthy, balanced, properly functioning thing. Now, when we start to get 35 and lower, or 65 and higher, this is where we have issues. So 35 and lower would indicate a degenerative or malnourished and underfunctioning aspect of something. Whereas a 65 and higher might more indicate something that's inflamed or infected or toxic in nature, more urgent. Anywhere between that 36 and 64 is close enough to 50 that we really don't want to spend our time and attention on something that's so near normal. So when we look at any item in the scale column, that's going to be how far away from 50 is it, is our question. The farther away from 50 in either direction, the more serious the condition or circumstances of that indicated item would be. Now, the next column we look at is the dilution column. Now, that dilution column is one that allows us to look at this and say, well, this is a homeopathic dilution. Now, homeopathic dilutions, let me go over those real quickly. We have the V dilutions. That means 1 drop of a herbal tincture was put into 5 drops of a base alcohol solution. Now, that means that that's when we measure something like that, it's a very physical, tangible, measurable thing. Something we go get a blood test, we can do some other version of physical exam, and is more likely to be something that's a significant and obvious symptom causer for you. The X or D, both being 10 dilutions, are metabolic processes, your digestive system, your circulatory system, your lymph system, things that are, again, more measurable, less located, but are still something that's very tangible in terms of what you're looking at in terms of your health. Now, moving up the scale, this is where we start to get a little less located in terms of a location, but it's more system-wide. There we get your hormones, and along basic hormones, some of the sympathetic nervous system, those nervous system indications that are not under your control, like how do you make your heart beat, things like this. The instinctual brain, how you respond to things in an automatic way, and how your brain controls your body. If you want to reach up and scratch your head, well, that's how your body sends messages through this kind of frequency. Now, there's the C or the K one, or again, these are both the same at 100 dilutions. These are the more advanced hormones, reproductive hormones, some of the signaling hormones in the brain, and so on. Complex neurology, like memory, learning, cognition, fine motor skills, parasympathetic nervous system, that part of your nervous system that you are in control of. If you want to reach up and scratch your head, you can do that, but you can also do things like type a computer and so on. And higher brain function, creative endeavors, imagination, complex social interactions and things like this are part of that system at C or K. And then M is really where we get into like the mental, emotional, the energetic body, but the least tangible, least measurable things. And yet, of course, we know they're important, but they're less likely to be your symptom causers, at least initially. So as we look at this, that's how I view this when we're in the process of doing the testing. Now, in this case, let's take an example of here's somebody's test, and let's see how we would interpret a few of these results. This first one, the Cyrix array number 10, listed as apple cider. If we go to the scale side, that scale says 70. Now that 70 is significantly higher than 50, which means that then we'd have the ability to say that's inflammatory. And yet, if we look way over here on the right side, we have a higher score of a 900 DM, D meaning 10, M meaning 1,000, so 900 10,000s. That's an extremely dilute solution. So even though apple cider would be maybe stimulatory, cause an adverse reaction, it's going to be so far up in the mental emotional realm, we wouldn't want to really put a lot of time and attention on it because realistically, it's not a big symptom causer. Now, just beneath that, we've got the black brewed tea. Now, in that case, it has a very low dilution. 17V means that that low dilution is something that would be, well, that's a symptom causer. That's a very tangible result. And yet the scale only says 57. Now, 57 is not very far away from 50. So therefore, even though there is a measurable result, the result is so nominal that we wouldn't want to pay attention to it. But now let's go down a little bit farther. We have the fava beans cooked. Now, fava beans here cause a significant inflammatory response of an 82, and they also have a 22V, a very low dilution for the homeopathic dilution, means that it's not only an inflammatory trigger, it's a very tangible symptom causer. And so we look at apple cider, not a big deal. That's not where our problem is. Black tea, nope, that's not our issue. If we go to fava beans, that's our winner. That's the thing that genuinely causes both a inflammatory process that's measurable as well as it being a significant tangible symptom causer. So these are the things, as you take a look at it from my point of view, this is how I view it during the testing process. Now, when we move on to the file that you received in your email, this is how it looks. And of course, it's the assessment results. That title there, Comprehensive Analysis, Cyrix Labs, lists every category that was tested that's in this report. Now, as we look at this, we have a basic format, and they're usually in alphabetical order as they're sent to you. In that case, we have the first item alphabetically was additional ingredients. Now, that's lower than 50, and so it's marked here in parentheses as a 42. We then go to the dilution column. It says 27C. Now, is 27C significant? Well, might start getting into the immune system. So it's semi-tangible. It's in the middle of the range. And the item listed, monosodium glutamate, is a common food additive for a lot of things. Now, in that case, it gives a little bit of an explanation about it. And so it would say that here's what this is. Now, remembering that all of these items end up getting imprinted into your baseline solution, MSG is listed here as, here is your solution. You have a problem with MSG, and the machine provides a solution. It's going to imprint MSG as a 27C into your bottle that you got, what I call the imprint bottle. So this very long report with all the items listed on it is a listing of here are the problems, here's how bad the problems are, here's how tangible the results are and where they're affecting you, but all of these are wrapped up in a bundle to be put into your baseline imprint bottle. So then we go back to our previous examples. So we had the Cyrix array number 10. The apple cider did indeed have an elevated response of a 70, but we're a 900 DM, not likely to be a tangible, noticeable result. In the brewed black tea, we had a tangibility about it. We had something that's very physically acting, but it's not far away enough from 50 to make a difference. And down here, we have our fava beans qualifying for both criteria. We have an inflammatory process, and we also have a low dilution. So in the interpretation of your results as you get them, you can scroll through these. And for most of the things that are in your test results here, you're going to have the ability to say, actually, not many of these really apply. Most of these are things that I can ignore because they don't meet both criteria. Now, I'll give a couple examples here. Down in toxins, in the very bottom, we have vaccine toxins, which cause degenerative processes of a 35. We have viral toxins, which cause inflammatory responses of a 65. Those are kind of in that borderline. They're bad enough to maybe pay attention to, and they both have low dilutions, 90V, 120V. Those are things that we'd say, well, those could be addressed. Those could be part of the reason why I have a problem. We have the toxins on the top, though, called inhaled allergies. Now, that's where we get a little bit questionable. Is a 22C tangible? Well, for your immune system, it might be. This might be something we'd say, well, this is in the middle line. We'd rather take care of the vaccine toxins and the viral toxins first. Those are a little bit more urgent and in need to be addressed. But then you've got also the inhaled allergens of, well, if we've got some ability to, let's take care of those as well. They're not as important, but they might start creeping in as something important later as we clear toxins like vaccines or viral toxins. And so in this case, all these items are sort of left to an interpretive model of how far away from 50 does it get you, and how low is the dilution. Now, when we get here, this is your imprint bottle results. And so, for example, here we have the 11 drops. Now, 11 drops is how many drops you would take twice per day. Now, sometimes given a more urgent kind of situation, I'd say, well, maybe let's take it 3 times a day. But in this case, this person would take their imprint bottle at 11 drops 2 to 3 times per day. Now, then the machine calculates out, well, how long will it take to achieve their desired results? And in this case, it calculated it out to be 4 weeks. Now, your result is going to be very individual to you. I've had anywhere from just people only taking 2 drops a couple times a day. I've had people having to take it up to 5-6 weeks to get the results. It's all based on a test of your ability to use that baseline imprint bottle to solve the problems that are listed in your report. So that's kind of how this all wraps up, and we have this sort of complex picture, but if you break it down to these basic fundamentals, this can help you interpret those results. So thanks for listening. Hope this makes sense to you. If you have any questions, as always, just let us know.